Check, check. How we all doing today?
Check, check.
Sweet. Sound looks good. Let's get on over to the live screen. Oh boy. Bear with me just for a minute. Here we go. Thank you all for being here today. We'll get started in just a minute. Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, and more specifically, I want to take a rundown through some of the different macro indicators, charts, and I think I'll spend more time. Last week, when we did the live stream, we took a look at a lot of the mining stocks. Today, I want to take a little bit more time going through different altcoins that are available on Robinhood and Coinbase. Dr. 420, good afternoon to you too. Diddy Moore, hello, thanks for being here. So let's get into it. And where do I want to start here? Let's start off with some charts. Things to keep in the back of your mind. Just want to run through these quickly. You guys know I talk about them a lot. But if we are to top sometime soon, or if we've already topped and are going to have somewhat sideways downward price action, 4-year cycle deal, this would be a chart to keep in the back of your mind. Again, we're just talking about the 4-year cycle in crypto that's happened in the past. Although I will say that in early 21, we did have that top from March to May. So we'll see what happens. Something's got to give this time around. But outside of the presidential pump and inauguration dump for your cycle chart, some other things to keep in mind as well is things like the Fed rate cut. The Fed is more than likely, at least the word on the street is, to do another 25 basis point cut, even with inflation going up just a touch. Talked about that in yesterday's stock market video. Keep an eye on inflation, because when the Fed pauses and raises rates, that could change things too. And I'm going to show you in the S&P chart what that might possibly mean if we're in a 98 style scenario. And anything else? Yeah, let's go into crypto fear and greed. And we're still up in low extreme greed, high greed. And over the past few months, you can see we started to get lower lows, lower highs. And now maybe we're trending back up again. So this is an interesting time. I do think this is the beginning of the end, so to say. I don't know if we are in another classic 4-year cycle. We're having an early top, but the fact that Bitcoin dominance has broken underneath some key supports that are moving averages, I think is a positive sign, and a sign for any new viewers out there to please exercise extreme caution, especially if you're just now getting into any cryptos. You are more or less educated gambling, and so please do be careful with your money and make sure you have a plan. Don't just ape in because the news is good. As far as the alt season or the alt year index, we've been trending up, making higher highs, higher lows. And to me, this looks like it's getting ready to possibly take off soon or have a little bit of a bounce and then go. So we'll see. But in the past, you can see that there have been bigger alt season spikes that have happened. Sorry, let me turn my sound notifications off. And so this is something I've been thinking about a lot. How many of these alt year spikes are we going to get this cycle? Just one, two, three? I don't know. I wish the data went back to 2017, 2018, but I'm very curious to see what will happen. I'm also, something else with this chart that I'm not sure how much it's affected by this is there are increasing numbers of altcoins out there, and how much does that dilution of thousands and thousands of new altcoins being out there affect a chart like this? I'm not sure, but just something to keep in the back of your mind. As far as the Bitcoin rainbow chart and seeing where we are at right now, we're up in this yellow zone. And even though taking a look at this, and if this is the first time you've taken a look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart, you might think to yourself, okay, we're not at deep value, we're not overextended, we're just in the middle. I would caution against that type of thinking because, as you can see, we do have this pattern of higher lows in the rainbow chart. See each halving, we go up a color band, and we also have lower highs. And so you can see that each peak, we've been going down a color band. So here in 2014 is just a little bit above. In the last two cycles, it's gone to the highest, second highest. So I'm just targeting somewhere in here. And this is part of logarithmic regression. Log scale, logarithmic, goes up by factors of 10. And it regresses over time, which means that overall crypto is supposed to become less volatile. It doesn't mean that you can't make amazing money, but maybe not as much as you could in the past. DG commented, I need one alt season spike. I'm ready to finally cash out and be done with crypto for the next 4 years. Yeah, I would agree with you mostly. What I will say, though, is I would be targeting, if you are looking to get back into crypto, maybe targeting that 2 years from now. We have had bottoms every 4 years as well. And if we are nearing a peak sometime in 2025, then you could take a look at 26, 27 as possible bottoming areas. So let's just take a look at the last few bottoms. This one was in late 22, and this bottom was in 2019, so about 3 years apart. And then you can see there 2016, give or take. So 16, 19, 22, maybe the next bottom's coming in 26 or so. So few, let's see, Ian, so few here yet. Such good content. Thank you for your efforts in teaching young investors on how to read the market. Appreciate that, Ian. I enjoy doing this, full disclosure. I enjoy doing this. In my regular day job, I've been working in the field of psychology for about a decade. I think I'm just hitting a decade this year. And so I've enjoyed investing too. I just want this to be a community. And what I've noticed for myself and friends is that emotions, it's not a good decision maker. It's more of an indicator. And that's what I really want to try to emphasize. And plus, I'm just sick of all the content out there that is basically just scammy. People saying unrealistic crap. And I want to answer the question I always have, and I feel most people have, is now a good time to buy, sell, take profit? Where are we at? So I just try to answer those questions. I'm happy to do this. I enjoy doing this for free. So again, as we get into the content today, we're going to be taking a look at the altcoins mostly. I think we'll take a step away from the mining stocks today. They're still doing the same as they were. Let's just take a look at a couple indicators. I wanted to show you guys this one. And this indicator, by the way, I'll share all my indicators with you that I use. And I try to use simple indicators that you all can use. And the reason for that is, guys, there's great channels out there that talk about Elliott wave theory. However, my belief is this, and I take this to the work I do in my field of psychology too. I might have all the knowledge, experience, wisdom about something that works at helping people, but if you can't replicate that in your own life, it's just information. You need to have the knowledge and the experience combined together to gain wisdom. And so when people are talking about stuff like Elliott wave theory, it sounds great. It's great analysis, but I personally can't replicate it with all the rules. I don't understand it that well. So I try to use indicators that are easier to understand, use a handful, and to be really good at those. And that's something I help my clients with is what strengths do you have? And let's focus on those as well. So here's a recent indicator a buddy of mine been talking about called the Ultimate RSI by Lux Algo. They have a few good ones, and you'll notice these peaks. Look how high the former peaks have gotten in this relative strength index, the Ultimate RSI. And right now I'm on the monthly scale, but you can see we're not at that peak yet. So I'll be watching to see where that peak is. We do have a little bit of a down slope here. Let's try to connect that. So I'll be watching somewhere around this trend line. When we get there, of course, I'll be sounding the horn, but just something to keep in mind. You can see where those peaks line up. Do you believe in the, let's see, Ian again, do you believe in the early peak cycle, or do you think it'll calm down, pick up September, November 25, maintain the 4-year cycle? Ian, I'll say this. I try not to get too deep into what I want to happen. I'm focused more on my strategy and indicators to look for of when to enact my plans. So have a strategy, in my opinion, not financial advice, have a strategy that is greater than any prediction out there, because I'll tell you from experience, most of the things I want to happen and predictions I wish would happen don't always come true, and your strategy has to supersede that. So I'm looking for Bitcoin dominance hit the levels. I'm looking for the rainbow chart to hit the levels. I'm looking for my altcoins to hit their price targets. Those are a few factors, as well as some of these indicators on what I'm looking for. That way, it doesn't matter when it happens, whether it's early or late. I have the data telling me that, okay, now is the time to get out. Let's see, DG comments. I will not be getting into alts this next run once Bitcoin retraces back to the lows from what I've seen. Could be 65K. Okay, maybe I'll ride it back up. Chips and salsa. I can't find a really good risk reward setup at the moment, so I'm just sitting in cash. Smart. Waiting to see if ETH breaks 4K. DG comments. I truly believe the law of diminishing returns is a real thing with crypto. Yeah, same here. All right, let's get into where the price action is at right now, and let's go to my schizo chart that has way too much data on there. Let's zoom in so I don't give you all a headache. But right now, Bitcoin, we're still at the same area as we were last week, which is we have our fib drawn. We're at the 1618, which is at 102K. It's proving to be pretty good resistance right now. Once we break that, I think we are in the 2-minute warning of fourth quarter. We're getting there. We have the double top, and then again going over to where we are at right now. Let's zoom way in. You can see that Bitcoin, it can't get above this 102 yet, but it has a couple areas of support. One being this trend line, that's the double top, and the 20-day moving average. So last week I talked about this is an important level. What's going to happen next? Is it going to go under, over? And we're still there a week later. Let's see. Chips and salsa, how do you feel about the AVAX chart? We'll get into that. I'll make sure to talk about AVAX soon as well. Something I wanted to share with you guys, because we had news about inflation coming out, and we've been seeing things about interest rates. I wanted to show you guys just something that's part of my thesis, if you will, or something I'm looking for. And this is the U.S. interest rates. So the Fed, they're slowly cutting right now. They're cutting by an average of 25 basis points. Let me go back to, where's the chart? Right here. When the Fed's cutting low and slow, we tend to have at least more time left. When they're cutting large and fast, they don't. And right now they're in this tricky position of battling inflation and how much to cut. The interest owed on the government debt is the third largest item on the on the budget right now, and so they want to cut rates so that interest on the debt isn't so large. But regardless, just something that's I think interesting to me is when we go to this chart and we see 1998. Again, I'm just drawing a little bit of a comparison. We didn't have as much inflation. 1998, you'll see what happened here. The Fed cut low and slow, and then they paused, and then they had to raise rates again. And if inflation, which just started to go up a little bit, you've probably seen that in the news this week. If inflation starts to go up, don't be surprised if the Fed pauses and then eventually raises rates again. And then that might be the time that something breaks, that maybe it's a year or so down the road, and then boom, they really have to cut. And we've been hearing Trump, we're not going to get into politics, but we've been hearing Trump talk about how he wants aggressive rate cuts. So that could fall into that narrative, just something to keep in the back of your mind. Let's go over to the Bitcoin dominance chart, doing something a little interesting here. Wait and see what'll happen. So after Bitcoin dominance hit that peak and came down, it had a little bit of a bounce, got rejected off the 200-day moving average, and it's coming back down. What I'm curious to see is Bitcoin dominance going to make a lower low, or are we going to start forming a little bit of a wedge pattern before breaking down? So as you guys know, wedges, they can move explosively one way or the other. We could see a little bit of a wedge just in the small time frame, lower highs, higher lows, all of a sudden break back up. I've talked about the double spikes that have happened in Bitcoin dominance in the past, whether that's been a long double spike and then alt season, or back in 2017, this is sort of a double spike. There weren't as many alts taking as much of the pie back in this time until later 2017, but there was this double spike and then boom, down it went. So I'm looking for somewhat of a similar pattern, whether it's going to be shorter, longer. I'm leaning towards shorter, but just something to keep in mind. A couple more questions or comments here. If you have enough cash, selling puts on MicroStrategy is like printing money. Yeah, I have Crypto Golfer. I have my reservations about MSTR as well. What do you think of the tether dominance stochastic RSI in the weekly? Seems to point to a huge correction in the next few weeks, unless we get a bullish divergence, which would point to the peak. Well, let's take a look at that. So we have to take this off log. And for any new viewers, the stochastic RSI has been really nice at finding local peaks. And so you can see here when the tether dominance has dipped to around this trend line, we've had these peaks here. I'll get into your comment, but I just want to show the new viewers. So those dips on the trend line have been here, the peak of 2017, the mid-cycle top 2019, the peak before the COVID crash, the double top peak, the pre-halving peak in March that we had this year, and most recently. So going back over to the tether dominance, that's where we have, that's where we're at right now. And you're asking about the stochastic RSI on the weekly. So let's put that up here. I don't think I've looked at the stochastic RSI on the weekly, but yeah, I see what you're saying. So yeah, it's flipping positive. I will say this. So I use the stochastic RSI as one of my dollar cost averaging indicators, not purely, but something I do look for is when the stochastic RSI, and guys, I use this on the weekly. I try to combine it with moving averages, fibs, all right, whatever. When it's down here, there's a couple things that could happen. One, it could stay down here. And so you can see right there, even though it's moving up, it could stay down and then go lower, as we saw here in later 21. And here you can see it can stay down for a while. Look as it went down. So sometimes the stochastic RSI can stay really low like that. Just something to keep in mind, and vice versa. It can stay up higher. You know, we can make the opposite argument here that, hey, it's flipping negative. However, it stayed up here, and you can see that the tether just went higher, or the percentage of it. So where I look for more confirmation is when it gets into the shaded area. That's a good observation, Ian. So I'm glad you brought that up. Something I've been looking at more so is just the RSI in general. And not that I go purely off RSI, but I've noted before that when the RSI gets under 50, like that tends to also be a very bullish time for crypto as well. You can see here in March, that was huge. So how long is it going to stay under there? I don't know. But RSIs, I don't use RSIs purely on their own. I'm curious now to see what does the ultimate RSI look like on the monthly, because monthly it's been, you just see it's the strength is ripping down even more. So I'm not sure that indicator is really good for it, but anyways, let's get into the alts. First, Ethereum. I want to focus more on altcoins today. Ethereum, and let's have on our buy sell signal. This is the one I use in bull runs at 1020 MA. In bear markets, when I'm trying to hedge my risk, UT bot alerts is a better one for that. So let's turn on our buy sell signal here, and we'll have on our moving averages again, and we'll go into Ethereum. And then don't let me forget, I want to take a look at the ETH Bitcoin pairing, see where that's at. So right now, Ethereum is still getting a little bit of a wick rejection off that, what is that, the 888? Yeah, it's the 888 at around 4K. The high back here was around 4,800. Let's take a look at the daily. So you can see that 888 is providing some resistance. So getting tightly wound in here. It does have a buy signal on the daily, but again, we have to break above the 888 to see this be a true move. Someone earlier was talking about 4K being important for Ethereum, and I would 100% agree with that. So just something to look for. Chips and Salsa, AVAX, it has a major upgrade on Monday and investment announcement recently. So yeah, we'll see what Ethereum does here, whether it breaks through either of these trends, the trend line or the 888 will be important. If it gets underneath, then look for support here at the 786 fib at 3390. If Ethereum was, let's say we do get something like this chart. Let's say the 4-year cycle is just same as it always is, and we're going to get something like this. The discounted areas for Ethereum in that type of scenario would be somewhere down in this lower end of the wedge at around 2,500 at worst. But if we're having an early top spring of this next year, I'd be taking a look at this having nice support and then ripping up higher. And sounds crazy, but if Bitcoin is going to somewhere like 150K and Ethereum starts to take off right now, we can take our fib off log scale and we could take a look at some of these price targets. Ethereum just a little under 4K right now, but I'd be looking in the most bullish scenario at the 2618 around the 10 to 11K area. No, it sounds crazy, but in the most bullish scenario, that's what I'd be looking at. In the past, I mean, you can see here Ethereum got up nearly 5,000 and it was hanging at around 240, 148. I mean, think about that, going from, let's just say 250, a nice even number, up to 5,000. That's about a 20x. So just something to keep in mind. Let's also take a look at the, I think it's actually ETH divided by Bitcoin. ETH divided by Bitcoin. Let's see where that's at. So this truly hasn't broken resistance yet. In the past, when ETH has turned very positive, we're getting near the end of alt season, you can see it's breaking all these moving averages from resistance to support. This 50-week moving average, I still think is very important to get there. Right now, we haven't even tested the 20 yet. We sort of did, came down. So if Ethereum's all of a sudden going to start ripping, and it seems unbelievable right now, but if Ethereum starts going towards 8K, 10K, then you will see this ETH Bitcoin chart truly start to move up. So no confirmation that we have flipped the trend yet. You can see how the 50-week moving average has provided resistance before, but I do think with the Bitcoin dominance looking like it's had its first peak, that we could see something like this in the future. When that's going to be, whether in the next few months or later next year, I don't know. But watch the 50-week moving average on there. I think that's going to be the most important. Let's get into AVAX. And guys, if you have any altcoins you'd like for me to chart on here outside of the big ones that are on Coinbase and Robinhood, please comment them below. AVAX. Let's get into. All right, I've charted this one before. So interesting where it's at. Let's move this fib out a little bit. So it's getting stuck at that 618 again. 618 is providing resistance. We do have a little bit of a lower high there. If we were to draw a trend line from these peaks, I'm just curious where that would be if they line up at all. So this is interesting. If you take a look at that trend line from its all-time high and we continue it, we're only wicking above, so it is a possibility this could be a fake out. We have the trend line resistance, we have the 618 resistance, so either this is a local top for AVAX, or if it breaks through, the first couple areas you want to look for is one, breaking that recent high in March at around 65, and then you want to see what happens up here at the 786 around 80. Is it going to get rejected, or is it going to start turning either of these fibs into support? And if so, I think that would be pretty good. But recently, it has had already a decent move up from the, was that the 236, 382 fib. So let's measure that out as far as what AVAX has done. So it's had 100% move, give or take, from the 382. So if you got in here at around 25, you 2x your money. That's pretty great. Let's see a couple more comments. How much credit do you put into the Pi cycle top in regards to the ending of the bull run? You know, let's go back to Bitcoin. I want to go back to Bitcoin, and because we're going to talk about Pi cycle top, we have to take off our moving averages, okay? Because it's gonna cloud things. Here's what I'll say about the Pi cycle top is, let's put it on. I think this is important because I'm worried about this lulling people to sleep. Actually, let's go to a different Bitcoin chart, one that I haven't scribbled all over. Here we go. So people that know about the Pi cycle top know that it's been great at calling the highs and the lows in the prior cycles, 2017, 2019, high and low. Here it called the alt season high, but not the true top. And it called the bottom in 2022, but not the true bottom. And here I will contend that the whole FTX situation was a black swan event at the bottom. So, you know, I don't blame people for calling this the bottom, being like, well, that was a black swan event. Just like, you know, what would happen without COVID, all right? I think Bitcoin, you can see the average was around here anyways. I'm not fully convinced that the Pi cycle is going to trigger again. So here's what I'm looking for, whether we get these signs triggering on this indicator or not. When Bitcoin has run into this upper moving average, I'm talking about the white line here, you can see the mid-cycle top got up there, rejected. And I've used this same indicator, this Pi cycle indicator, I've used this on stocks before too, and it's actually pretty good at this set. Most stocks that aren't as volatile as crypto, it'll get up to the Pi cycle area and either rides that moving average or gets rejected. What's happened with Bitcoin when it triggers is, you see, it gets above that white moving average, okay? Gets above the white moving average. That's when it's topping. We have the mid-cycle top. Here's the white moving average, somewhere around 130K. So let's say Bitcoin's going to get very bullish sometime soon. And I'll just draw this fib quickly from the recent high to the recent low. Okay. And we have to, all right, it's off log scale. Great. You'll see the 2618 fib is there at about 155K. If Bitcoin's getting above that moving average, getting between the 2618 and the 3618, somewhere in here, I think whether that signals or not would be the top. And a reason I'm looking for 155K outside of it being the 2618 and Bitcoin having around a 3 trillion market cap is going back to the rainbow chart earlier. If we look in our orange, in the orange rainbow bands, and again, you can see how we have this pattern of diminished returns going down the bands. Next one would be around orange. If we were to have an early top, and let's just say later March, whatever, where's that orange box at the bottom? You can see it right there, the third box, 155 to 200K. So it would not surprise me, and there's a lot of signs showing that if we were to just have Bitcoin start flying off the rails and we're going to get euphoric sometime this next year, that's what I'd be looking for. I think a lot of signs point to 155K. So My thinking, just to put a nice bow on this, I'm not going to wait for the pi cycle to trigger. We have the rainbow chart. We have Bitcoin dominance dipping down, tether dominance being at the trend line or underneath it, getting above the white moving average, these fibs in there. I think we have a lot of other indicators in case the pi cycle does not trigger. And so I wouldn't be waiting for the pi cycle to trigger just in case it doesn't. Again, have a strategy in case part of your plan doesn't work out. So let's see. Ian, how about AIOZ? Time to gain some attention to an AI coin. Let's take a look at that. What is AIOZ? I will plead ignorance on that one. It is on Coinbase. Cool. AIOZ. All right. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the bonk chart. Not going to lie. So it looks like it came out in March of 2022. Maybe it's listed on some other things before it. But let's just take a look at the fib. And all right, this is why I love fibs, because when you take it off a log scale, look at that. You can see that the 2618 at around $1 was resistance, came down for support at its former all-time high, came up to the 3618, and now is resting right around there. I like when it shows the market cap too. Market cap 1.24 billion. So AIOZ 1.24 billion market cap. Let's see, how far down do we have to go on this list? Where is it number wise? Yeah, once we get into the lower areas. All right, it's a top 100 crypto, number 97, and you can see right there. So when I'm looking at price predictions or price targets, because in a true alt season, some of these are going to get so bullish if you get it. Let's say AIOZ is a good altcoin. It gets so stupid bullish that it's going to rip above the fibs, and the fibs sort of become irrelevant. Then I would be looking at market cap as far as possible price target areas. So what would that be? I would be looking at market cap and the most bullish alt season scenarios, somewhere around the $5 to $10 billion range, 20 billion, 30, 50 billion max. I'm not saying it will get there, but I'd be looking at some of those round numbers to see how well it does. And it's up to you how much you want to leave in there. So I think chart wise right now, the chart does look pretty extended. So we had this big move up. I mean, look at that. What was that from? That was from October 23. And look how much it's already moved up. It's already moved up about 9,000%. So would I be getting in an altcoin at the all-time high after a 9,000% move? Me, no. If you got in down here, don't hate it. If you got in anywhere here or anywhere down here, cool, happy for you. But I just don't know. And in the past, in the last 2 cycles, especially in 21, I remember people getting into altcoins later that just started to bleed out and they were done running. So I don't know if it is going to run further. I've seen altcoins do this pre-alt season and then die, but have your price targets for if it runs, and also have what traders call stop loss. Where is the area that it could go down to where you would be comfortable saying, you know what, I'm either just going to hold it till next cycle, or I'm going to take my money and run before it turns into a falling knife. So make sure that's part of your plan. Let's see, a couple new comments. Let's see, Chips and Salsa, happy to help. DG comments, I agree with the 155K. I'd be wearing holding. Yep, we're in the same mind. Chips and Salsa, just going to buy 1,000 AVAX and go play World of Warcraft for the next 3 months and not check the charts. Have fun, man. Let's see. Antonio, how you doing? Remember me? Not going to lie. No, it's been a while, but thank you for being back. Happy you're here. Let's see. Chips and Salsa, JKC in the next live. And Denny, can you check Solana and Near? Yeah, let's get into it. Let's check Solana and Near. I was wanting to check those anyways. So what is Sol doing? What is Solana doing? All right. So it hit that all-time high area, and what do we see here? It has a weekly sell signal. So Solana was in this downward channel. People call it a bull flag, whatever you want. But what's nice about this, even though it has a sell signal, it does have this candle, sort of, what's it called, a bullish hammer, where the candle body is mostly up at the top. And guys, you don't have to memorize the names and what every candle means. Overall, I feel like that's sort of useless information, but there's a couple big ones, big candles, or more common candles that I think are good to know. Dojis, like this guy right here, that means undecided. Bullish hammer, you see that big wick, how it wicked down to the 10-week moving average. So even though it's a sell signal, maybe this will be a short one. And at worst, you see the 20-week moving average and the channel, it could get support here. But I do like seeing that bullish hammer candle. Let's take a look at the daily. So daily, not so bad. We do have lower highs, lower lows. Yeah, be curious to see where this move finishes out. We have just 200 in this area, right at the low 200s. That could turn into support. But in a very bullish scenario, if we take our fib off log and look at Solana price targets on our fibs in a very bullish scenario, here would be some to look for. I've seen people calling for 1,000 SOL, and you can see here the 3618, 4236 is around there, and that would be Solana getting worth over 400 billion. Maybe that'll happen. I'll say this as far as Solana. I need to find the chart, but there's been charts showing this cycle as far as which altcoins are growing the most and taking up the biggest piece of the pie. Solana, how much it's been growing this cycle, has been eating at that pie chart more than any other altcoin. So Ethereum, XRP, Doge, still large altcoins, but as far as the one that's been growing the most, taking up more and more of the pie chart, has been Solana. So I wouldn't be surprised if Solana is the darling altcoin this time around, like Doge was last time, like XRP was in 2017. So these could be mega bullish price targets at the 2618 or above. But let's say we get bearish for a few months. Let's say that happens. Then you would be looking back at this channel. And I think if Solana did get down to 126, that would be, I would not hate dollar cost averaging there if you really like Solana. You also asked about Near protocol, and just wanted to take a look at where it was on the list. I believe it's like number 20 or something, 24, with an $8.5 billion market cap. So again, I think of market caps for some of the price targets, and for any of these altcoins that are under, or 10 billion or under, 50 billion, 30 to 50 billion feels like a good, safe price target for alt season. I think if you're getting anywhere above 50 billion, 50 to 100, I think that is, in my opinion, must take profit taking areas. So let's take a look at Near on the charts. So right now you can see we still have lower highs here from these two areas of March and May. Still technically a lower high. Wasn't quite able to get to the 786. Now, if it is able to break these highs right here that were made before, the 786 would come into play. And that's the first thing you want to see. You want to see it break this trend, and you can draw a trend line. That's what trend lines are for too, as far as these lower highs. And you can see, okay, it's wicking above, but this is still fake out territory, in my opinion. It's only wicking above. I want to see candle bodies, whether we're breaking trend lines, fibs, moving averages, whatever. I like to see candle bodies on the weekly. If it's just wicks, I'm a little less convinced. So let's see what happens at the 618 at 6.5. Is it going to break under, come back down to one of these moving averages? You can see that it likes the 20-week moving average. So in a discounted world, you'd be looking at $5, the 0.5 fib, $4.50. But right here, let's see what happens here inside this, between the 618 at 6.5 and this trend line, which way it's going to go, up or down. Chips and salsa, Sol is being a turd, unfortunately. I'll tell you this, chips and salsa, whenever I hear people bagging on an altcoin, that tends to mean it's not the worst time to buy or consider it. How long ago were people calling Ethereum trash and garbage? You remember people are saying Ethereum's dead this cycle. It was awful. People were saying that down here. And on this channel, we were talking about this, how, Ethereum, it's at its trend line. It's at its lower high trend line. It's at the 618 fib. Like, people are being very negative on Ethereum. Watch it be bullish soon. And that's exactly when it was bullish. So or when it turned bullish. So beware the narrative. I'm starting to see more people hate on Solana out there. So just saying, maybe it's getting ready for a move up. We want to use the emotions out there as an indicator, if you will. Have to bounce. See you, man. Thanks again for everything you do. Yeah, happy to help, Chips and Salsa. Take care, dude. Enjoy your Friday. Antonio, ALU. Let's take a look at that, Antonio. And sorry I don't remember yet. I apologize, but happy you're here. Welcome back. So, Altura. Which one should we take a look at? MEXC. I don't personally, I know people who use MEXC and have had some tough experiences. So just be aware of that if you're on any of these. So this one came out later last year. I'm wary in general of altcoins like this, especially when they're this new. But let's take a look at the fibs. Is it at the 1618? Yep, you can see that. So from the top to the bottom fib, taking off the log, got to the 1618, a little bit of a rejection there. And right now, look at that bullish move. Just didn't even want to hit the moving averages. Finally hitting the 20-day moving average. Maybe it has some support there if it's getting ready to continue this trend. But after this move right here, if you didn't get in down here, I wouldn't be getting in yet, me personally. Now, some of these lesser known altcoins that you have to be careful with, maybe it comes down to one of the actual fibs here on a log scale. If it did come down to something like the 786, had a little bit of a retrace, maybe I'd consider, but yeah, I think that one's a little bit rich for my blood. I mean, you can see the move it already has done. We'll just go from the average bottom here. It had a 600% move. So I wouldn't be touching it right now. It's from 21. Okay, so the chart goes further back. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what it looks like on other charts then. When there's so many. Here we go. All right, look at this bullish move back here. So let's go to the weekly. So it's from 21. Yeah, sort of reminds me of some of those. They were falling knife. Look how much that fell. But if we're to even get to around this former all-time high, you can take a look at that as a target. We do have these higher lows, higher highs. Nice big move up there. I do like that we have a higher low here. So as far as taking this data into play, I'd be taking a look to see if it gets somewhere in this area right here where I personally would dollar cost average again. Actually, right here. You can see these peaks down here that they ran into resistance there, okay, when it's bearish. But when it's bullish, it's been support. So if it comes down there, I would say that's like really good DCA territory. But I'd be waiting to see where we're at in the cycle as far as a good discount. So that's about 5.5 cents. But yeah, if you get down between 8.5, 5.5 cents, I'd say it wouldn't be horrible if you really like that altcoin. I don't know anything about it though. So best of luck there. Let's take a look at Chainlink. Chainlink's doing great. Really like Chainlink. Just, yeah, I'll say this, guys. I've been a crypto skeptic as far as the actual utility. It's okay if you disagree with me on that. That's why I'll take a look at the charts. Charts tell a story regardless, and the utility narratives are always great. You know where the utility narratives are great? Just go on. If you're on Twitter in this time, oh my gosh, crypto solving all the world's problems here and here and here. But when crypto was here, people just talk about how garbage it is and everything. So just be wary of the narratives. I try to take everything with a grain of salt and be objective as much as possible. But Link, look at that. It looks like it's somewhat running out of steam here. Maybe we'll get stuck or run into resistance at the 786 at around 32. Could come back down to the 618 at around 21 and a half. I'd be taking a look at Link, possibly forming a base here. But some of Link's price targets has me excited. And let's take our fib off log. And again, let's consider market cap. Where is Link? It's one of the top altcoins that isn't in the very, very top, but it has around a $17 billion market cap right now. And just think, if this one 5x, it'd be around 100 billion. And so, 5x for Link would be around 150. Is 150 near any of the fibs? Well, you can see here, we have the 2618 at 131, the 3618 at 180. So if Link got to this area, I'd say, wow, that is very good profit-taking area. Let's see. DG Comics, I'm in some of the Dino coins, and they're still sitting at 80 to 90% off their highs. VeChain, Zill, I think they'll have a strong run again this time. Sham, what about SWE and XLM? Let's get to those in a second. I don't want to skip over. Let's take a look at some of the very top altcoins, and then we'll get into more of those. So XRP, we haven't taken a look at XRP in a little bit, and it got to, I believe, what was it, the 1618, and is it still stuck there at around, yep, almost got to $3. So $3 for XRP, still the target that has to get passed. But as far as what's happening recently, look at that, all-time high, 20-day moving average support, and it's going to probably start chopping sideways. Maybe use that $2 area support. If XRP does really start using this as support, then I would not be surprised to see it get above that 1618. And in a very bullish scenario, the 2618, I would be targeting as the top at around 470. So I've seen people talking about $5 XRP. Wouldn't that be funny if it only got to 471 and stopped just short? So, but it can always wick a little bit above, get to $5. But yeah, I'd be taking a look in the most bullish scenario at that. Let's take a look at Doge, and then we'll get into some of those altcoins y'all have been requesting. So Doge here, still at the 786 right here. You can see it got above. It's just hanging around that 42 cent level. So if Doge is to start getting more bullish, we have the 888 here at around 55 cents. The former all-time high at around 74 cents. And then Doge, you guys have probably seen some videos out there calling for $20 Doge. I think those people are out of their minds and have zero idea or care what market cap is. I don't trust what any of those guys are talking about. But I'd be taking a look at the 1618 at $1.16, 2618 $1.85. Consider this: if Doge does a 3x, gets to $1.20 here at $1.16, okay, Doge at 40 cents times 3, $1.20. We have the 1618 here. What would the 3x be in market cap for Doge? Well, we have 60 billion times 3, 180 billion. If Doge is near 180 to 200 billion, for one, that's twice the market cap it was last cycle. For two, that's a ridiculous high market cap for an altcoin that is especially useless. Not hating on Doge, just, it's a meme coin. So if a meme coin, say this stuff out loud, and I think you'll start to agree, gets to 150, 200 billion, I don't know about you, but I'm taking profits there. Have to. So no, Doge is not going to be worth over $1 trillion. I don't see that happening. I don't see, unless we had hyperinflation or rich aliens from outer space using Doge as the currency between species. I don't see that happening. All right. $20 Doge, that's a fever dream. Yeah, totally agree. But hey, if you want a good laugh, go out there on YouTube, just type in $10,000 XRP, type in $20 Doge, and look at the videos and listen to the people talking about them. You'll see what I'm talking about as far as the scammy scumminess inside the crypto space. That is what keeps me conservative and reserved in my price predictions. And that's what motivated me to make this channel, quite frankly, is there's too much of that. And I hate seeing hardworking people lose their money because they believe there's too many people with, as some of the teenagers I've coached in sports like to say, brain rot. Too many people with brain rot out there. So, just trying to be a conservative voice of reason. And hey, if it goes up further, I will never not be happy for people making profits. First and foremost, I've been wrong many times. If my price targets get exceeded, I'm happy for you. All right, let's get into it. Let's see. We have a few to look at. How about Jasmine? Ooh, I love Jasmine. I have some Jasmine, and don't buy Jasmine all because I have some. So this one, any of these charts that just fall off a cliff, quite frankly, are hard to look at just by fibs. Now, if we go just by what the chart gives us, you can see the 382 fib held and has good support. So I guess this fib overall is fine. We even had a little bit of support at the 0.5, but it ran into the 618. This is looking nice and bullish right here. Now, after it spiked, did come down, but a nice strong bounce here at the 0.5. So we want to see Jasmine get above 5.5 cents. But think about this. If Jasmine gets up to its former all-time high or higher, we're talking 36 cents. And where's the 1618 for Jasmine? I think it's around 60 cents. That'd be in a stupid bullish scenario. Yeah, 58 cents. Can Jasmine do around a 10x from here? Again, think of that based on market cap. Jasmine somewhere around 50 as far as the top 100 cryptos. Maybe it fell a little bit. Yeah, 60. So can Jasmine do a 10x? What market cap were we talking about? 23 billion? I think that's believable for a top 100 altcoin. So I'm not saying it is going to happen, but have your price targets, have a plan for where to take profits. And for me, if with the Jasmine I had, if it got anywhere near here, I would be taking profits. And if it gets higher, great. But I'd be very happy if Jasmine got there, especially since I was getting it down here. So at around half a penny. So I'm already in the 10x. If I got 100x overall, great. Be more than happy. What other ones? SWE and XLM. Hope everyone's doing well today. It's cool having you guys here. So happy you all are here. I know I've charted this one before, but it wasn't on that one. Maybe it was on the Binance one. Yep, here we go. So let's rechart this bad boy. Let's rechart this. So we had a little bit of a higher high here. Let's draw our fib. I like drawing high to low, but low to high works just as well. And let's take our fib off log. Does it run into? Boom. Look at that. 2618. So sweet, big move up. Hit the 2618. Let's take a look at it on the daily. This is why I like moving averages and fibs together. You can see how well they work as far as discount areas and areas to take profits. So if it gets through the 2618, then the 3618 would be at around 664. And as far as the market cap, where is the sweet market cap? I think that's going to be one I have to look up here. Where is the sweet market cap? SUI. Come on now. Sweet. All right. Oh, it's number 15 crypto. Well, don't I feel stupid? Some of you watching, what? Doesn't this guy know what all the top 100 cryptos are? No, I don't. Sometimes these things go past my head, and that's okay. So sweet, number 15 crypto overall, 14 billion. So again, consider market cap. If it's getting between 50 and 100 billion, I think that's a great range to look for, taking profits in sweet. So what that would mean, and let's just say 15 round number. So 15 times 4 would be about 60, times 5 would be about 75. this is just how my brain works. I'm talking out loud. If I had some SWE, I'd be taking a look at that 60 to 75 billion area. And again, that would be around times 4 or 5. That'd be 20 to 25. And you can see that's off the fib levels right here. So just something to keep in mind. Fibs, sometimes you have to add more fib areas or use your own price targets, psychological levels at work, or even market cap. That's why market cap matters. Let's see, a couple new comments. It pays to be a little conservative in the crypto world. Yeah. People who aren't somewhat conservative minded, I've seen this last 2 cycles, they get left holding their bags for 4 years. I don't want to see that happen. If you have a conservative price target, and if you take profits here and you do a 5x, that's amazing. I think people see McDonald's workers and grocery store workers, no offense, getting these 100x's and they're like, hey, I want that. I'm smarter than that guy. And then you only get a 2-3x and then you're left holding a bag. It is okay to take profits here, even if your altcoin runs another 2x. So what? As long as you take profits and aren't left, if you hold on and you get greedy, you don't have a plan, then all of a sudden that 5x that you're waiting to 10x and it doesn't, you get left holding bags that are worth less than what you had. So have a plan. It's my favorite crypto channel. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. Thank you, Antonio. Good name, by the way. Very good analysis. Thank you, Denny. Would you consider making some live chats and teaching us how to read charts and use trading view tool levels that you are using? Denny, I am trying my best to do just that. And you don't have to pay me anything. I'm trying to show you exactly what I'm doing. So let's take a look at XLM, and I'll go through some of my indicators, and we will do just that. So stellar lumens, which one do we have to, should we take a look at? When it says perpetual futures, like I get a little, stellar lumens. Oh boy, look at this. Right, so this is a good chart. Let's get a look on the weekly, put this on auto, and let's start from scratch here. I want to walk Denny through this. So Denny, I use moving averages and fibs and buy signals. Those are 3 of my main ones. Okay. So you type in your chart, XLM, and when you do, make sure you're in crypto, obviously. And so this indicator right here, EMA, the 20, 50, 100, 200, great indicator to have. You can type in your indicators here. Make sure you click the star so it's favorited. I also like the 1020 MA, that's moving average, crossover with Heikin-Ashi signals. I use this on the weekly to look at some dollar cost average opportunities. Okay, you can see the green dots, and it has red dots too. Okay, 2 indicators I love. There's other indicators I like to use, such as stochastic RSI, that are good for dollar cost averaging. I use this on the weekly, and I like when it's in this lower area, starting to break up blue above orange. Okay, that's another tool I like to use. Let's get rid of that though, and so we can see the chart in all its glory. And you have to make your own plan. This is just what I do. This doesn't have to be what you do. When I draw fibs, the fib retracement tool, if it's not there, it's at the top, just click that. I also use trend lines too. I draw my fibs from the high to the low. And when you're looking at prices between the high and the low, it has to be on log scale. You can see that right there. When we're taking a look at price targets above the high, you take it off log scale. And for that to work, your chart has to be on the log too. Okay, log means factors of 10. So hope you're taking notes. Again, you don't have to do it this way, but I'm trying to use indicators that are easy for people to understand. I'm not going to pretend to understand Elliott wave theory because there's a lot of little nuances and rules. And if I can't use indicators that people use out there myself, if I can't replicate it, then I'm putting my trust into those people. So don't use my analysis. What I'm trying to do is use indicators that you can use. And if you can replicate that for yourself and do even better with it, then I think I'm doing a good job here. So that is my goal, to form a base for everyone to understand and then take it from there. So Play to your strengths and do consider, what is your emotions like as well? Some people, they get really hyped with the markets. They're not able to think in an unbiased way or have a plan. If that's you, obviously getting a financial advisor would suit you better. But if you are able to keep your emotions out of it, be unbiased, use emotion as an indicator, not a decision maker per se, then I think you're in a good place. People who are truly, I'm going to make a joke here, so don't take offense, anyone, but if you're truly a psychopath, all right, again, no offense here, just having fun. If you're truly a sociopath and emotions are nothing to you, then I think trading can suit you because you're able to not fall into the hype and the FUD when that happens. All right, let's get into it. So we have our fib drawn. You can see here, yes, candle bodies on the weekly. We're closing above the 786, but we didn't get complete close. So could this be fake out territory? Possibly. We did get a little bit of a rejection. This candle having a large wick down does mean that there's a lot of buyers coming in right around this 39-cent level. So we want to see the 786 get retaken. The fact that we got candle body somewhat above it leads me to believe that we could see this be bullish or use the 786 as a base. But if not, maybe the 786 is going to be a ceiling and we'll come back down to, now you can see here on the weekly, not a lot of price action support back here. But you can see down here at the 0.5, there has been in the past, and there's been moving averages in a little wick there. So if I'm waiting for a discount, me personally, I'm waiting for, if I'm in stellar lumens, I am not. I'd be waiting for this 24-cent level at minimum. Let's go over to the daily, see what we have there. So daily, a little bit of a different story here. Okay, you can see these little daily candles that when there's an equal amount of wick on both sides, those are dojis, that mean undecided. But right now, this is resistance. So the trend is your friend. I tend to go with what the trend is showing us. If we have lower highs, lower lows, my argument would be, okay, the trend might go down. We have the 618 fib here at the 50-day moving average round. You can see the price at the right, 33 cents, 31 cents in there. If you DCA'd here because you love stellar lumens, wouldn't blame you. We have the 100-day moving average, again at that 0.5 around 24 cents. So that's what I'm looking for as far as my analysis. And as far as when I'm looking to take profits, well, for one, what are your price targets? Your level of risk is not the same as mine. No two chart viewers are the same. So I would be taking a look at price targets based on fib targets. So we take our fib off log scale. We have to be on log for our fib settings to be taken off log, just so you know. And you can take a look at some of these fibs as price targets. Okay. Now you see all these different fib levels, the 2618 at around $2. Let's play with that one. $2, nice round number. 40, let's just round this one again, 40 cents. 40 cents times 5, around $2. Great. Well, what would be a 5x from market cap? We have $13 billion. So let's just take 13 times 5. 10 times 5 is 50. 3 times 5 is 15. 50 plus 15, $65 billion. Do you believe that stellar lumens can be at the 2618 fib, around $2, and be worth $65 billion? That's a question for you to answer. I can't answer it for you. If you think that's a little too rich, then maybe you're considering somewhere around $1.20, a 3x. If the market cap 3x, that would be around 39, 40 billion. If you feel better with that, well, then there's your target. So that's how I look for price targets based on fibs. And the reason I do that is, I'll tell you, when we are in alt season, when we are in euphoric times, and I've been here in 2017 and in 2021, when we get to these levels, and 21, you might remember Rams versus Bengals, we had crypto commercials during the Super Bowl. That should have told everyone that the top was near. Super Bowl commercials are always a good top signal, good sell the news events. they're very euphoric times, and retail is buying in during these times. Okay. That's why you need a plan. So emotion is an indicator, not necessarily a decision maker, unless it's to take profits. So because we have these big spikes, you have to make your own plan. Where are you taking profits? Are you waiting for the orange zones, the red bands? Are you waiting for your price targets? Maybe you're thinking, this is you now, not me, the hell with price targets. I'm just going to wait for alt season, and I'm going to wait for Bitcoin dominance. This guy talks about the Bitcoin dominance cycle, this market psychology guy. That's you talking about me now. He talks about Bitcoin dominance getting a lower 40%. What if Stellar Lumens does it 20x? I'm going to wait for Bitcoin dominance to get down here. That can be part of your plan, though I would argue there were many alts that topped before Bitcoin dominance finished bottoming. So make your own plan. I can't make it for you, but those are the indicators, the main ones I use. I hope that was helpful. Let's see. DG comments with comics. With the upcoming economical changes with the new administration, do you feel like people will come more risk on with the market? Yes. I feel like we are in a V recovery coming up. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that overall. And as far as V recovery, was it ETH Bitcoin? This could be a possible V recovery right here, a V bottom. Again, I'm waiting for the 50-week moving average to be taken to confirm that. But it does look like Bitcoin dominance just topped. And Bitcoin dominance tops back here in September 2019. It tops when ETH Bitcoin bottoms. And so are we going to get somewhat of a V, whether it's drawn out or it's more of a spike? Ethereum tends to do better, perform better in the first half of the year than it does the second half. Nothing to say that it can't do that, but there's that narrative out there. And then there's the narrative of, well, we have this phenomena going on. Are we going to go sideways down after the inauguration and then get our 4-year cycle? Or are we getting a 4-year cycle from the early top that we had in 21? Again, I don't know. I think as far as narratives go, here's what I'll say about narratives and just my mind as a scientist, someone who has done research before. I try to use field evidence and data to steer my decisions, or to influence my decisions rather. And you can find all the correlations out there, correlations based on time scales, correlations. We have, look at all these correlations, 300 days from new all-time high to peak. Okay. That's the end of the year. Average from bottom to next peak, 850 days. Okay. That puts us in March and the quarter one. That's the average from the halving to the next peak. That's more 4-year cycle. There's those correlations. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, people talk about whenever the McRib comes out, Bitcoin's bullish. People talk about the moon cycles or when the president's elected. There's all these correlations that I think are convenient, but to me, it's not real data. So I don't just look at correlations. In that fact, I think correlations sort of give people the false impression. I try to use data to lead my decisions. So what is the trend doing? What is the price action doing? Where are we at in the rainbow chart? I try to use what the data is showing me more than any correlative stat, whether it's timing, whether it's administration. Sure, that could have a factor, but to what degree? That is really hard to measure. My favorite stupid correlation, by the way, is the McRib one. That one just cracks me up. So just wait for the McRib to come out and then get bullish in Bitcoin. Great analysis. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on correlation. Let's see. DG comments. I always base my investment decisions on the McRib. Never failed you. Yeah, it wouldn't so far, but that's it will one day. And as soon as people get overconfident in these correlations. That's when they bite people in the butt. Let's continue through a few other top altcoins. Let's take a look at Pepe. Pepe's been doing good recently. I have a buddy who owns some Pepe, and he has for a while. And Pepe, by the way, just got listed on Robinhood. You can get freaking Pepe on Robinhood. So let's take off that guy. And man, look at this. And he did get Pepe down here, which happy for him. I'm of the mind that Pepe might be this cycle's Doge, and then Bonk might be this cycle's SHIB. So we're above the 4236. Pepe just continues to go higher here from that fib. Let's take a look at some possible discount territories. Look at that nice double bottom down there. Let's take a look at some discount territories. If Pepe does come back down at all, where could we be looking? You can see here, Pepe, at least at that local top, where did it come down to? It came down to the 236. So if we were to see something similar, the 50-week moving average and the 236 is the beginning of discounts. Where would that be? Well, you see the 50-week moving average coming up here, 236 here at around 401151 is what you have right here. But again, Pepe can continue making newer highs. Something to keep in mind there for Pepe, and also the market cap. Is Pepe going to get above 50 billion? To me, that's a nice market cap area to look for. Now, people already made great money in Pepe. How much money is left to make? A 5x? Again, people talk about these 100x plays, 50x plays. I think at this point in the cycle where we are at in the rainbow chart, you have to have tempered expectations and not be looking necessarily for a 10x, but have your price targets. Do consider market cap. And if you're like, you know what, I freaking love Pepe, I want my Pepe, then wherever we top locally, if it comes down, watch the 236 from the low to the high. Pepe is on iTrust. Crypto never fails. Each cycle near the top, all the memes, whether it's Sam Bankman-Fried, was it BitConnect? Any of you been here since 2017? Remember BitConnect? If not, do your research. It's a good laugh. And just YouTube Carlos Matos and watch his BitConnect speech. If you haven't watched that, you haven't been baptized into the world of crypto to understand just how stupid it is. Watch his speech and then read into what happened to BitConnect. It's a good laugh. Let's take a look at ICP. Someone commented on ICP in one of my earlier videos. Again, a really hard one to chart per se, because this price target here, or where the chart began at 3 million, doesn't make sense as far as market cap. Okay. So how it's listed up there, that's beyond me. But just taking a look at where ICP is at right here. And again, we're just taking what the chart's given us. We have the moving average, the 100-week moving average, providing some resistance, lower high, the 236. So I'd be taking a look for ICP to get above those targets. And that's why, I just drew the fib starting from right here. I don't know. These ones are hard to draw a fib on when they just fall from the heavens and the price target doesn't even make sense. Let's take a look at Fetch. Speaking of AI coins, how's Fetch doing? So Fetch got up to the 2618 at about $3, came down to the 618 and the 786 area here at the 100-week moving average. It's had a nice bounce. So if Fetch gets rejected here and it gets to the 50-week moving average at about $1.37, and you love Fetch, that would be the beginning, in my opinion, of dollar cost averaging territory for Fetch. But on the daily, man, look at all that good support. Is it going to get to that $1.37? I don't know. If you want to be more aggressive, wait for $1.50. You could do that too. DG Comics remembers BitConnect. Yeah, that was great times, man. Great times. There's another classic video out there. A guy named Adam Ver. This dude got mad at somebody calling Bitcoin Cash, B Cash. Rage left the podcast, flipped them off. That's another classic video. Which other ones do we want to take a look at? Let's take a look at Cardano, Tron. And again, if you have any requests on Coinbase or Robinhood altcoins, please comment them below. I think I'd be remiss not to take a look at any Bitcoin miners. We might do that just a little bit. So Cardano, you can see here on the daily. Let's take a look at the weekly, just in case that's a fake out. So on the weekly here, just peaking and set above the 786, or no, sorry, the 618 trend line there. That wick does look nicely. So we want to see the 618 at around $1.14, $1.15 get taken and used as support. And if so, the next target for Cardano would be $1.75. What was the other one I wanted to look at? Tron, TRX. And Tron. Man, this one. I remember getting into this one in 2017. This is one of my best plays ever. And then Tron said, or Binance said, no Americans on Binance. And I had to sell my Tron. And it was at this price, around 24 cents at the peak of 2017. And so, yeah, sad about that. Whatever, though. So we have our fib drawn from the high to the low, almost. Let's fix that a little bit. And right now, Tron's at the 1.618. It got up to the 2.618 at around 40 cents. Ooh, let's move this out here. Yep, around 40 cents. And if this continues to be bullish and get to the next fib level, we have the 3.618 at around 53 cents. I'll say this about Tron. And Justin Sun, the guy in charge of Tron, if any of you remember the whole Sam Bankman-Fried FTX situation, to me, Justin Sun is the Chinese version of SBF. And we had the FTX situation in 22. We had the BitConnect situation in 2018. It would not surprise me if Tron turned into the next big catalyst for a bear market. Just saying, Justin Sun, with his reputation and history, is not someone I trust. I don't trust Justin Sun or Tron, so just be careful. But again, all because I say that doesn't mean the project can't continue on for another 4-8 years and price move higher. But just be careful. That's my 2 cents. Can you check IMX and Beam and Doge? Magic Mather, what's up, bud? We did check Doge, but I'll go back to it. Let's go to IMX. So IMX here that's a nice, again, we're seeing a lot of these sort of, what do you call it, bullish hammers, just like a big wick on the downside, which means it's being bought up. If any of you are following the moving averages and setting buy targets, then people are setting buy targets here at these moving averages. You can see what's happening here. And so it's holding the 618. We want to see some positive momentum, get up to the 786. We want to take the 786, not like back here where we took it and then lost it. We want to see the 786 at 277 get taken. And then IMX, which has a market cap of, I know it's not too far down here. Where is IMX? Where are you? IMX. I probably already passed it. We'll go back in a second. IMX. Could have sworn it was up here somewhere. Probably passed it. IMX. All right. IMX. I am blind. Could have sworn that was like up there. IMX, where are you? It is number 49. All right. So it's around 50. Number 49, IMX. What's its market cap? 3.2 billion. All right. So market cap wise, I'd be targeting 30 to 50 billion. That'd be around a 10x or so. I hope. I may have some IMX, not financial advice. And let's take this off log scale and let's take a look at some of these price targets. Woo! All right. So some of these, man, look at that, 4236. And yeah, that's right. We put the 6618 here. But if it gets above this 4236 area, then we've hit that 10x territory. And IMX is getting then into the 30 billion range. So that's what I'd be looking at. Just me, not financial advice for you. Getting above that 4236 to be like, okay, the end is near. And then how brave are you to keep holding past that? Totally up to you. And then you wanted to look at Beam and Doge. Let's take a look at Beam. I have not looked at Beam before. Beam X. We'll take a look at this one. Hope it's the right one. And newer altcoin, at least on this chart later last year. And we are just going to, let's do this here. Let's start from the low to the high, just because that's what this chart is showing us. Let's start from the low to the high, take our fib off log. It is looking bullish right now. You don't want to see a lower high here. You want to see a new high get made, but you can see after that high from that low, came down to the 618.5 area. Now, if this is a lower high, I would be looking at a possible higher low, lower high wedge to be made and looking for discounts around the 382 at around 1.9 cents. Somewhere in here would be the start of my discount territory, which would be about half, but just my 2 cents. And then Magic Mather, because he's a regular and he wasn't here for the early part of the live stream, which is fine. We'll go back to taking a look at Doge again. Doge, same thing. It's at the 786 at around 42 cents. But what do we see here on the weekly? We see a doji. Doji means undecided. Zoom in on the daily, and you can see here that, all right, let's quick stretching this out like a smash burger. You can see here just a little bit of sideways action. It is getting underneath these moving averages, and this fib does have me somewhat concerned. If all of a sudden crypto were to turn a little bit bearish for a couple months, then this would have me concerned. And for Doge, I'd be taking a look at this 0.5 for the next deep value discount area to buy if this didn't hold. But let's say Doge is able to take this 786, then you'd be taking a look at the 888 and former all-time highs here, 55 cents. Another thing to be cautious of with Doge, you see this dotted line here. We do have this double top. And again, this is just if crypto overall were to get, if we just had a local top recently at around 102K, where the 1618 fib is. If we did just have a local top and this is a double top, then I would be looking for Doge to fall between these two fib areas. Okay. So right now, this is a double top, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then again, for any new people out there, as far as Bitcoin goes, you're like, what is this guy talking about with the 1618? So if you've been watching this video, seeing how I draw fibs, take them off a log scale, the 1618 is at 102K, and we zoom in, and you can see here, that's what Bitcoin is struggling to get above. And we have the 20-week moving averages and the double top trend line from 21 right here. I want to see which way Bitcoin breaks, one way or the other. As far as any other charts, I said, let's just take a look at a couple miners. Maybe we'll take a look at Mara, Riot, Clean Spark, and Wolf. I think those I get the most comments about on my miner videos. And we have to take a look at stocks here. Let's see what Mara's doing. So Mara, a little bit bearish here. We have to take our fib, correct it again. And yeah, still within this wedge. Now, it did have a little breakout. Maybe it's a sign of things to come. But again, look at these. This is popping up across many charts. We're seeing, yes, there's these red candles and wicks, but you see how they get bought up at the lower moving averages and fibs. So I wouldn't be shocked to see this still break out of this wedge. But if it does come down, the lower area for Mara is down here around $18. So we'll see. I would not be shocked. We have that fib support here, the 618. I'd be taking a look at Mara, possibly if things stay bullish, getting out and then getting up, doing a 2x, close to 40, if we are just having a minor correction here. Riot, Clean Spark, and Wolf. We'll finish with those. And if there's no other requests, I'll be closing the video soon. So Riot, my God, look at this big, long, thin, doji candle here. Got down to the 382, got bought up pretty well. And as far as the candle body, it is at the 200 week moving average. Riot has been in this channel. So to me, this is the start of discount territory here at around 11. If you were buying here, don't hate it, but if it did come down here, that would be more juicy in my opinion. But we want to see Riot escape this channel, and we want to see it escape the channel and the 0.5 fib and get somewhere up here towards the $23 area. And let's see, Clean Spark, CLSK. Maybe we'll take a look at Cypher too. Cypher's another one. Clean Spark, sell signal. But again, look at that wick. Look at that wick down here. So those moving averages, 618 fib, getting bought up. I would not be surprised to see this turn around because we are near that higher low trend line as well. I'd say not bad discount territory here. You can DCA from here to the $11 area. But again, we're pinching pennies here if you truly believe in Clean Spark. Cypher and Wolf. We'll do two more. Cypher, man, this one just keeps in this channel, slowly grinding up. We want to see Cypher. If you like Cypher, you've gotten it down here. We want to see it take this 786 at around $7 and then get out of the wedge, of course. Where does the channel, not the wedge. Where does the channel run into? The 888 at around $10. So getting above the 786 at around $7 to $10. Those are our next two areas of resistance. Then away we go with Cypher. And as far as price targets, I've talked about this in the mining stock videos. Last cycle, 20 to 30 billion was the peak for the range of price targets as far as Mara, Riot, and others. So I'd be taking a look at 20 to 40 billion overall as a range, 50 billion maybe. But that's for Cypher. That's where we're at key resistance there. And then TeraWolf. TeraWolf, we have a weekly sell signal, and it is running into resistance at the 618. I have talked about you guys like my drawings here. As far as TeraWolf, we see this 50-week moving average moving up. It crossed the 100, okay? That's bullish. Is it going to cross the 200 soon? If so, you guys know, Golden Cross. If it's to do that, is TeraWolf on a trajectory like this? So I was just drawing these lines. Look at how the highs, the higher highs, happen at a shorter time each time we hit it. So you see the length of time here. And then when we continue to the higher high, we get this trend, and the next higher high should be, if we stay on this trend, even a shorter amount of time. Same with the lows. Where are the macro lows? Those are also becoming shorter in time. So it is possible TeraWolf is getting ready to freaking blast off, man. And so that's what I'd be looking for TeraWolf. It looks like it's getting loaded in this rocket ship. And I've seen this happen on charts before, not saying it has to, but where the range or the amount of time between the peaks becomes shorter each time. So let's measure that out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Not saying this has to happen. So here, about 364 days, that's a year, okay, between those peaks. What about here? 126, let's say 130, okay? So that amount of time has been, was about a third of it. And so then if we just take that, let's just take a look at what would 40 days be or so, even shorter amount of time. So is Wolf getting ready to just shoot up? Just something interesting, a phenomena I've seen happen with altcoins and stocks that have all of a sudden just blasted up. So we'll see. No other comments out there. Mining stocks put everyone to sleep. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of you coming by. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend wherever you're viewing from, and have a wonderful day. So thank you for watching. Take care.